Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to give our motion today. Our motion today is this House regrets the glorification of online learning during pandemic. The definition of the motion is: first, glorification is to cause to be or seem to be better than the actual condition. Second, online learning is an education that takes place over the internet across distance and not in a traditional classroom. Third, pandemic is an outbreak of a disease that occurs over a wide geographic area such as multiple countries or continents and typically affects a significant proportion of the population. And then this whole definition is: we regret the clarification of online learning during pandemic without a proper preparation of the school residents. Well, the increasing epidemic of the COVID-19 virus has had a broad impact on important sectors in Indonesia, especially in the education sector. Schools and universities are no longer doing their usual activities in class, and the government imposes a learning system in which teaching and learning activities are carried out online. Some circles claim that e-learning has much benefit rather than thinking its impact. So everyone today requires e-learning. But the question is whether this online learning system is suitable and can be used in Indonesia today. In fact, the e-learning system in Indonesia is currently quite troubling for school residents, especially for students. Today, online learning is carried out simultaneously in Indonesia without proper preparation by the teachers, so it affects the students. They can't understand the material effectively. In Indonesia, there are still schools that rarely or even never do online learning systems before, and that might beget difficulties to sudden changes. All regions in Indonesia are required to implement an online learning system under the pretext of inhibiting COVID-19 and technological developments without really considering whether this will be effective or not. So what we can do? We will make a proper preparation about online learning system to the school residents. And how? First, we will conduct research on the willingness of school members to carry out online learning, seeing from all aspects, especially the actual effectiveness in each school. Each school might be different. Second, we will provide socialization to school members about how the online learning system is suitable for each school, what preparations are needed, and how to operate the equipment. So, why should we make a proper preparation about online learning system to the school residents? For schools that are used to implementing online learning without face-to-face learning, this may be easy, but in Indonesia, there are still many schools that are not accustomed to implementing an online learning system. Some schools might get difficulties to these sudden changes. However, all this is currently mandatory, even though it is not possible to prevent the spread of the virus. For instance, in small areas in Indonesia, online learning is still difficult to implement due to several obstacles, such as not having a smartphone and no signal. Thus, proper preparation for the school residents is important and needed. Next, why we should considering whether this online learning will be effective or not. The purpose of online learning is mainly to avoid the COVID-19 outbreak, and then now it goes to prepare for competition in the digital era. Be diligent in arranging deadlines to work on the material provided, more time to study, and more. However, are these objectives appropriate and achievable in all schools? Of course not, because there are so many obstacles that students in Indonesia complain about. For example, most of these obstacles to online learning for students are due to weak internet network signals. Each region doesn't necessarily have a stable network. Then another problem is the issues of the gadgets during a test or a server error. In conclusion, there is no internet quota and limited media use, as well as adjustments to each person's finances differently to face a situation like now. Another obstacle is miscommunication. Sometimes what the teacher explains is misunderstood by students. Finally, they are required to study independently. However, this doesn't always work because not all individuals are capable of independent learning. Plus, if they don't have support in an open environment, it will definitely be in trouble. Thus, the willingness and capability of each schools have to be considered. And next, how do we best encounter in this situation? The answer is we should determine the appropriate method for each school, not taking for granted what the higher-ups said. For example, some schools that have problems with gadgets or signals can continue to carry out offline learning as usual, but still pay attention to the safety and health of all the school residents. Thus, students can still learn well, and the government's main goal of preventing the spread of COVID-19 will also be achieved. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough from my arguments. Thank you.